The Jackson Jaguars are going to pick Trevor Lawrence.
Of course.
Pretty easy pick. He's been the projected number one pick probably since he was a senior in high school. He's been in the spotlight for as long as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Jags got a lot of picks, a couple free agency moves they've done, and I'm curious to see how Urban Meyer does with this kind of within the NFL, because he's known to be like the godfather of like college football.
Right.
But Trevor Lawrence, he's a quarterback of the future. He's a franchise quarterback. He has the build, the mechanics, the athleticism. He's good under the spotlight. He's been in the biggest stage like every year he's played.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I could say that his freshman year was probably his best year statistically. And I think this matchup with Urban Meyer would be exactly what the NFL needs, especially for Jacksonville.
Right. Yeah, I got the same. I'm in the same boat. I got Trevor Lawrence. There's no other person who's going to get drafted there. I mean, just think about this. He's 6'6" and is extremely mobile, maybe the most mobile quarterback of the draft, him and Fields.
Yeah.
He is a very good runner. And you consider, like, most of the best running quarterbacks in the NFL are, like, a little shorter. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Baker, Russell, they're all, like, 6 feet. But he's got height to see over those defenders. And congrats to him on getting married this past weekend.
Yeah,
I don't know
he
if
did.
you saw that.
Congrats to him and his wife.
Yeah.
I don't know her name, but
I don't
congrats
either.
to the couple. But I'm sure she's going to have a nice future with him.
Yep. She's probably not complaining, is she?
Nope.
But I think I've heard he's the best quarterback prospect since John Elway. I don't know if I'd go that far. I'd probably say more like Andrew Luck, because Andrew Luck was, very highly coveted coming out of college. Unfortunately, that didn't turn out very well for me. I'm a Colts fan. But yeah, Trevor Lawrence, he's going number one to Jacksonville.
Yeah, and one thing I want to note is, like, even when he has off games, his most recent off game was against Ohio State. I ain't saying he played bad, but he just couldn't do much at that situation. Ohio State was just the more dominant team. But he still had 2 TDs and, like, 400 yards against, like, a potential national champion team. So, like, even on top competitions, he does show up. So that's what I liked about him. So, Hudson, go on with the second overall pick. This second pick belongs to the New York Jets. Who's taken?
Yeah, I think since the Jets traded Sam Darnold, they'll definitely be taking a quarterback. Pretty much every mock draft right now has Zach Wilson from BYU at number 2. I think I agree with that. I think I'll go Zach Wilson as well. I don't really know why everybody likes him at number 2, but it just seems like the best pick for them. And he's also very mobile. He can make plays out of the pocket, which is what the quarterback position is evolving into. So I think he really fits into that really well. I think he's got a great arm. He's got a cannon. It was weird. It was weird. I think a few months ago, towards in the college season, even Justin Fields was pretty much a lock for that number 2 pick, but he kind of showed some weaknesses this past year. And Wilson is able to sneak in there and get that number 2.
Yeah, I agree with you. I believe the Jets will take Zach Wilson. As you mentioned, Sam Darnold's out of the picture, so they need that quarterback to fill in the role. I mean, their new head coach, Robert Saleh, he made some big moves. I like him. He did great as a defensive coordinator for the 49ers. They got some talent. They got Corey Davis, as we talked about earlier. He'll be a good offensive piece for them. And I think Zach Wilson probably makes the cut for the second quarterback. Statistically, he's great. I don't see any problems. He makes some really good NFL throws. And I think the reason why Justin Fields is overshadowed by Wilson isn't because people don't think Justin Fields is better. I think people think Zach Wilson has less red flags, which I honestly think Justin Fields is not. He's not a bad prospect at all. I would make the argument. I think Justin Fields is the better prospect than Wilson, but that's just not the case with what people are seeing. And then the Jets probably see Wilson to be that future quarterback.
The Jets want a safe pick, I feel like.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
They fucked up so many times, and they want to just make sure that they are.
Don't do it again.
They don't do it again. Exactly. And he kind of reminds me a little bit of Sam Darnold too. But you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Zach Wilson, he has some arm talent. He's very mobile. So I'm excited to see how he does.
Oh, yeah.
I will go on and announce the third overall pick. As we mentioned, Justin Fields is a top prospect, and I think the 49ers will pick Justin Fields over Mac Jones. I just think it just makes more sense to me. Kyle Shanahan has worked with these kind of quarterbacks before, in the past, and I think he's ready to get back to doing that again. And Justin Fields has that. He's probably the most athletic quarterback within this draft class.
Mm-hmm.
He just has more talents to showcase. And it's just crazy. I think the 49ers are almost there to being at that Super Bowl level caliber again. They just, they had a lot of injuries last season, but they got some upgrades in the offseason. And I mean, you got to watch out for Raheem Mostert. He was my fantasy running back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And once he's healthy, he's just a force you do not want to reckon with. And I like Kyle Shanahan. He's a great, young, smart coach. Like, he kind of reminds me of Sean McVay a little bit. They're kind of, they even look alike too.
Definitely.
And I just think Justin Fields would be perfect because, as I mentioned, he has all these assets and he can just provide value. I talked to Brian about this. I'm all about Mac Jones. I think he's a great quarterback, makes great decisions.
Mm-hmm.
He looks good in a more systematic style.
Yeah.
But I just think Justin Fields has a higher ceiling than Mac Jones.
Yeah.
So go ahead and go on with the fourth pick. What do you got, Hudson?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think I do like Justin Fields in this spot. I'm kind of afraid they are going to pick Mac Jones though. But I think what you really hit the nail on top of the head when you said Fields has a much higher ceiling. I think Fields is still developing. Mac Jones was, he was kind of overshadowed for a while, obviously behind all those great quarterbacks at Alabama who are now in the NFL. But he didn't have the Joe Burrow season that Joe Burrow had his senior year, but he kind of came out of hiding and showed what he's got. But I think you just got to go with Justin Fields. Mac Jones, not a very mobile quarterback, not super athletic. I just think with the way the game is going, you just got to go Justin Fields. Even though Ohio State quarterbacks have a terrible track record, for example, Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
I like Justin Fields here.
Yeah, I do. I think he's the pick. I said go with the fourth pick, but I actually meant the third pick. But go ahead and lead off with the actual fourth pick. Who do you have for the fourth pick?
Yeah, this is tough. I think this is a pick that could get traded. I think there's other teams out there that are looking to move up to get a quarterback. So I'm not sure if the Falcons are going to keep this. But it looks like they still want to stick with Matt Ryan. So I think they're going to go get him another target. Think about the great tight end Tony Gonzalez who played in Atlanta for so long. I think they go with Kyle Pitts. He's the best tight end prospect we've seen since I don't even know how long. But 6'6", 240, that's a big dude. And I think he'll fit right in there with Atlanta. Matt Ryan will be a happy man when he gets drafted. That's
right. I agree with that. And you're right. I do see some kind of trade speculation with this pick, maybe with the Broncos. I see them taking that spot. But if the Falcons do keep their position, you're right. I'm going to take Kyle Pitts. They're not ready to move on from Matt Ryan yet, considering the fact they just restructured his contract not too long ago. Defensively, I think the Falcons could use a cornerback or a safety, but I don't know. I just think Matt Ryan, he could use another weapon. I think that's kind of more priority. Kyle Pitts, he has, in my opinion, from the offensive prospects, he has the lowest chance of being a bust compared to these other guys. He's just physically gifted to be that guy.
Oh, for sure.
And Matt Ryan, I feel like Matt Ryan has trouble converting on the red zone, and I think Kyle Pitts could be that guy to kind of get Matt Ryan to that next to get past that kind of problem. But don't be surprised if they pick like Patrick Surtain, though. I mentioned they need a cornerback, and he's one of the best defensive players in this round. I'm going to go ahead and lead off with the fifth pick. This is a pretty simple pick. The Cincinnati Bengals have the pick, and Joe Burrow is their future. It's pretty clear. He met the expectations. He went above the expectations of a Bengals quarterback. And I think they're going to go with Penei Sewell from Oregon. He's the best O-line piece in this draft.
By far.
And he'll protect him. He's huge, and they won't have to worry about finding another quarterback in a draft if they can protect Burrow.
That's true. Yeah, I think especially after Burrow's injury last year, there's no doubt in my mind they need to protect him and protect him for the future. I went back and forth between Sewell and Jamar Chase from LSU, or Waddle. Maybe they'll go get him a weapon, but I think at the end of the day they choose safety. They still have pretty good receivers there. They had some really good seasons last year, so I think they also go Penei Sewell. Although all of our picks have been the same so far, I think, but I think no doubt about it, they have to go tackle here.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we have the same picks because we're just both very intelligent with our
Hey,
picks.
maybe so.
But you never know, man. Things always change on draft night.
I feel like the first few picks are more like locked in than they are later on, anyway.
Yeah, so I won't be surprised if our picks are different the further we go into this draft.
For sure.
So who do we have for the sixth? The sixth.
Yeah,
pick?
sixth pick, which is the Dolphins, which they got from the Eagles, traded the Eagles. I think it's tough. I feel like they'll get to a playmaker. Which one it is? I keep going back and forth between Jamar Chase from LSU and Jalen Waddle from Alabama. They're both pretty similar in size. They're both about 6 feet. Waddle is pretty. He's a little bit more skinny, a little bit more, wiry. So I'm gonna go Jalen Waddle here. I just think he had a breakout season last year, and if him and Chase are on the board, I just think you have to go with Waddle.
Yeah, I like Waddle. He's a great pick, and Tua has worked with him in the past when they played at Alabama together. I'm not 100% sure on him due to the fact that he just came from an injury. So I'm not sure if he's at 100% or where he was before he got the injury. But I want to go with Jamar Chase from LSU. Sure, he took a year off, but just remember he was projected to be the number one receiver before the season even started, and he hasn't shown any traces of slowing down. He's been working off in the off season. He didn't play this year. I think they say because of COVID, but I think he didn't want to play because he knew LSU was going to be in a downfall. He didn't want to hurt his draft stock, which I think was the best choice in my opinion. Jamar Chase, I think, is the best receiver in this draft, and it would just make it easier for Tua to succeed. People are hard on Tua that he had a very underwhelming rookie year, which I don't think is fair. You're a rookie. I mean, there's got to be some sort of like a little bit of, like lead way, or you can't be too hard on rookies. But we think that rookies are always ready to go off the bat.
Right.
And like Dolphins were like in the bottom tier in terms of passing yards, and another offensive weapon would definitely help them. And I'm going to go ahead and move forward to the 7th pick, which belongs to the Detroit Lions. This was a little tough for me. They lost Kenny Galladay, who was their best receiver and probably one of the top receivers in franchise history. And they just brought in Jared Goff, which I don't think it's an upgrade compared to Matt Stafford. But you got to give Goff some sort of like promise that you got to give him some sort of room to succeed. Yeah. And
invest in him. Exactly. Invest in him a little bit.
Yeah. Right. And last year they used their first round pick for Jeff Okudah, who was kind of a little overwhelming. But I'm going to go with Devonta Smith because he's the Heisman winner. He is obviously one of the top best receivers next to Jamar Chase. He has the most experience among the receivers. He's been at Alabama for 4 years, I believe. He's special, man. And he'll be a good replacement for the Lions. But don't be surprised if the Lions pick Micah Parsons with that pick too.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think they have to go get Goff, another playmaker, after losing Galladay. I believe their next best wide receiver right now is Marvin Jones. Exactly. So yeah, I'm gonna go wide receiver, but a different one. I'm gonna go Jamar Chase here from LSU.
Okay, so we flipped. Yeah. No, you did Jalen and Jalen.
I did Waddle for the Dolphins, and I did Chase for the Lions.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, like you were saying, he had a great college year. Was pretty consistent. I think especially with Jamar Jefferson's breakout year from LSU with the Vikings, people are going to want to have these LSU wide receivers on their roster. So
yeah, I was saying, man, Joe Burrow was great, but his receivers were also great.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, I think you're next with the 8th pick. Who's on the clock?
It is the Carolina Panthers. This is a tough one. They got Darnold, so I don't know if they're completely in the quarterback conversation for moving up. They very well could be though. But I think they'll go. They drafted that guy from Southern Illinois last year. I think his last name was Chin. But he basically changed their whole defense. They built their whole defense around him. So I'm interested to see if they will go defense. I think if they do, they'll go with Patrick Surtain from Alabama, another Alabama guy going off the board early. They're just going to dominate the first round. I'm going to go Patrick Surtain here. They're really going to solidify that defensive backfield. It's going to be one of the best in the NFL probably. But yeah, he's pretty big. He's for a cornerback. He's 6'2", 203. You got to like that going up against taller wide receivers.
Yeah, I like that pick. I'm gonna have to go with Jalen Waddle on this one. As we mentioned, Sam Darnold came in the picture. Kind of the same situation Jared Goff. They want to invest him a little bit. In terms of what Carolina was lacking last year, they're kind of the middle tier on defensively and offensively. DJ Moore is a monster. I have him in a fantasy league. I liked him, but that's all they have really in terms of wide receiver course. So yeah, I think Waddle was on fire before his injury, and that, as I mentioned, he was injured, so that's I didn't want to pick him first as one of the first receivers to get drafted. But he was still a wide receiver one and on a very great Alabama team.
Mm-hmm.
He has some great breakaway speed comparable to Tyreek Hill, and he's a great outside option for Darnold. And I'm curious if his injury will affect him. Hopefully it won't, but I think he'd be a good pick for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
So next is the number 9th pick. It belongs to the Denver Broncos. This one was a little difficult for me because I wasn't sure if they were going to move forward with Drew Lock or pick someone else.
Yeah,
And I kind of thought a little bit. Drew Lock was drafted in 2019.
that's true.
I don't think they're ready just yet. It's in their minds, but it's not the first thing on their mind. I believe they're going to give him one more year, and I think the run defense is lacking a bit, which is why I think they're going to take Micah Parsons from Penn State to come into this draft. He's the best linebacker, and this could really improve that part of the defense. He's extremely fast, and he's strong on the legs, so I really like to see him with the Broncos.
Yeah, for sure. I like that pick a lot. I think, their defense can definitely improve. I think if they do want to stick with Drew Lock, I think they go and I think they get him another weapon. So that's where I'm going to go Devontae Smith from Alabama. I think he's the best wide receiver left on the board after Chase and Waddle. So I think they get Smith and they see what Locke has, and it's just tough because this quarterback draft's going to be better than next year. So it's like they really have to make their mind up right now whether they're going Drew Lock or not.
I didn't think of it like that. It's a good point.
Yeah. This is one of the best quarterback drafts we've had in a while as far as quarterbacks going this early in the draft.
Oh,
I mean, there's going to be like probably six in the first round?
At least 5.
At least 5, yeah. We'll see if Trask goes in the first round or not.
Yeah, he won't. I don't think so.
Yeah, I feel like he's not a first round pick. But maybe a team will get desperate and go for him. But yeah, I'm going to go Devontae Smith here.
Cool. Let's see. Do you want to lead off with the 10th pick?
Yeah, is it the Dallas Cowboys. One thing the Dallas Cowboys don't need is offense. With Dak coming back and their wide receiver core and Zeke still at running back, I think they're going to go. That defense last year was, I remember they were just getting trashed every week on talk shows on sports. Stephen A. Smith was just going off on them. Classic. So I'm going to go, I went back and forth between J.C. Horn, cornerback from South Carolina, and Micah Parsons. I think I'm going to go J.C. Horn, though. He's another good-sized cornerback. He's 6'1", which is just it's a good size to match up with wide receivers. So I'm going to go J.C. Horn.
Yeah, I like your pick because we both went for the same position. There's rumors that Jerry Jones is licking his lips for Kyle Pitts, if he has any lips. But he just won't be available. Kyle Pitts is, as I mentioned, one of the best offensive picks in this draft, and he'll be gone before Jerry Jones gets to him. So, as you mentioned, the defense was atrocious. I kind of noticed that when I watched them play Seattle, another bad defensive team. But their offense is a fantasy team wet dream, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'll get a lot of fantasy points if you pick any of these Dallas Cowboy offensive pieces.
For sure.
Getting weapons doesn't make sense to me, and I trust that Jerry Jones and his staff can make a smart decision if Kyle Pitts is not available, and they will go with Patrick Surtain to be their 10th pick. He's a cornerback. I think he's one of the best cornerbacks in this draft. He has elite size, strength, and he just has good overall talent. So moving forward to the 11th pick, we have the New York Giants. And the New York Giants will take Rashawn Slater, offensive tackle. Giants, to me, they will be better this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're lacking the offense. Defense is pretty sound compared to previous years. and they just got Kenny Galladay from the Lions, so that's going to
Yeah.
help them. Daniel Jones, when I watch him play, he kind of lacks this awareness around. He's not really good at pocket awareness.
Right.
And giving him that extra support with this pick will definitely make it easier for him to make something happen.
Mm-hmm.
If not, I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants take a quarterback in the next coming draft.
Yeah.
And I think Slater is the answer to that problem. And that will pretty much eliminate any excuse for Jones. As I mentioned, if he fails, Giants move forward with him and they'll get another quarterback.
Yeah. I'm actually agreeing with you here. I think they will also go with Rashawn Slater. He's from Big Ten, Northwestern. So he's the Big Ten is just like a lot of run games. I think it'll be great for the run game. I think what you were saying about Daniel Jones is I think this could be his make or break year. This is it for him. If he doesn't have a good season, they might look to bring in a free agent, look for a trade for him, or draft. So see what happens this year. I think the Giants definitely showed some signs of life last year, especially like towards the second part of the season. So yeah, Rashawn Slater.
Good. Cool. And next we have the 12th pick.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles. This was the Dolphins' pick. They traded it. Jalen Hurts will be starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles this year. That'll be fun to watch. I think he's a really exciting guy. I went back and forth. I think if there's still a good wide receiver on the board, they might go with a wide receiver. But since I've already had those big 3 wide receivers go already, I'm going to go with an offensive lineman. Back-to-back picks here. Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech. He's pretty big. He's 6'5", 314. I think they'll go with him and give Hurts more time in the pocket so he doesn't have to make as many throws on the run and risk injury. I think he'd be the best option at this point in the draft for them.
I like that pick. I'm going to go with Rashad Bateman for a wide receiver.
Yeah.
There's speculation that Carson Wentz had no help. Some had to do with the fact that his top receivers were injured. And with Jalen Hurts as a new starter, he's probably going to need a new receiving core just to start out fresh. And I think Rashad Bateman has that NFL size, quick release off the start, and has some pretty clean routes. I think he can make a difference for the Eagles because I don't really see too many great pieces for the Eagles for Jalen Hurts to use, and I think this guy will be it.
Yeah, sweet.
Let's see. Next is the 13th pick, and this belongs to the LA Chargers. I think they're going to get a tackle, and it will be Vera Tucker. Like the Bengals, they have their franchise quarterback. Justin Herbert was a great piece, and I think the Chargers need to protect him. And this guy can be the one to do it.
Yeah, cool. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, the Chargers. Herbert had a great season. Man, he was a fun player to watch. It's tough here as well. I think they might go with defense, honestly. And looking at defensive players on the board still, Micah Parsons is still available at this point. There's Kwity Paye from Michigan, who's a 6'4" edge defender. I think this might be where they go. Micah Parsons, I feel like he'd fit in really well there in Minnesota. Just his personality. I think he's just a beast. It was the Big Ten missed him last year as he opted out. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Micah Parsons here for pick number 14.
Cool. I like that one.
13. Sorry.
And then number 14 belongs to the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh yes. Yeah, this is where I'm also gonna go. I'm also gonna go defense here. I was looking at Kwity Paye from Michigan. He had a really great pro day from what I've heard. He is an edge defender. He's 6'4", 272. That's a pretty big dude. So yeah, not a whole lot of analysis here on this pick. I just think he's a safe pick for them and would provide them with a really good rookie season.
Yeah, cool. I like that. This one's a little tough for me because I wasn't too sure what the Vikings needed most, but I know Mike Zimmer is a defensive-minded coach, so I went the defensive player, and they're going to get Trayvon Moehrig as a safety for the Minnesota Vikings. As I mentioned, he's a defensive-minded coach, but their defense was kind of below the expectation. And their pass game was getting exposed. I mean, their pass defense game was getting exposed, especially by the Packers. So I think a little extra help would be beneficial for this team. Then next is the New England Patriots at the 15th pick. Man, I like this one. There's been speculation that they're gonna trade up to get their quarterback in the future. Either way, if they were to trade up or were to stay where they're at, I think they would get Mac Jones from Alabama. They have Cam Newton right now, but other than that, they don't have anybody else. And I think Cam is on a 1-year contract again.
Yeah.
And they've really stacked themselves up this offseason. And I think Bill Belichick truly believes he can turn scrubs into elite quarterbacks. Like, I think he has that mindset, what he did with Tom Brady and Jimmy G, that he can, if he can get a decent quarterback, then he can make something out of it. And I think Mac Jones kind of fits that mold, what he's looking for. Like, sure, people are just going to be shocked that the 49ers don't pick Mac Jones, but I think it's just it's going to be clear that it's going to be clear to me. It's at least clear to me, and the Pats are going to be like, they're going to find a way to get Mac Jones.
Yeah.
He's a good system quarterback, obviously. Alabama's known to make system quarterbacks, and
For sure.
and I think he fits this kind of style. Bill Belichick probably won't start him very much this season, but the following season, don't be surprised if he comes in and shows what's up.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, I like
Definitely.
Matt Jones. He's a great decision maker. He doesn't force things. He knows who he is as a quarterback. He doesn't try to play hero ball like some young quarterbacks do. So I'm excited to see what he does with them.
Yeah, I agree with you here. I think they do get Mac Jones. I don't think they wait to take him at 15. I think they do trade up. We'll see where that is. Maybe they trade at the Falcons for the 4th overall pick. But I think Mac Jones really would fit in really well with Belichick's offense, with the scheme. I think he'd be a great. I think Cam Newton will start off the year, but I think Mac Jones could be the starter by the end of the year. I just think he can offer a lot in that passing game. I think they're going to need to work out some wide receiver stuff too, because they just don't have a lot of weapons there. But yeah, I like Mac Jones at this pick. I think he'll be a great fit for that system.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the wide receiver problem, but that's a good point.
Yeah, I think as Edelman,
He's retired.
he's retired.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I couldn't even name one wide receiver on that team.
That's true.
Yeah, maybe they'll try to solve that issue in the later rounds of the draft.
Yeah, hopefully they do. Go ahead and lead off with the 16th pick. It belongs to the Arizona Cardinals.
The Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, this is where I have a guy you took earlier, the Elijah Vera Tucker from USC, SoCal. Big offensive lineman, 6'4", 315. I think that's just a team, Arizona's a team that could really use a lineman to help protect Kyler Murray, who I think will be their quarterback for the next 10 years, 10 plus years. And this guy had a great college career. He's coming out as a junior. But I think he can be a day one starter this season.
Cool. I like that pick. For me, I pick Greg Newsome, cornerback from Northwestern, I believe. I don't see too many bad spots in this team right now versus what they were last year. It just seems like they cover a lot of areas with their free agency moves they made. And I could see this team making a good run in the playoffs. They probably will get at least one playoff win. Their rush defense was trash, but getting J.J. Watt will definitely fix that. And they just lost Patrick Pearson to the Vikings. So it's going to require a replacement. And that's where I think Newsome comes in for the Cardinals.
Yeah, cool. I like that pick. So we're on to Las Vegas now,
Yep.
I believe?
I'll lead off with the 17th pick for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Awesome.
They're going to get a linebacker, Jeremiah Owusu Koromora. He went to Notre Dame, I believe. So I'm going with a linebacker pick. The Raiders were 26 in rush defense, and this position could be filled. He's loose. He has loose hips, explosive speed, and it's easy for him to get from sideline to sideline on the run game. So that's my pick for the Raiders.
Cool. I like that pick a lot. Tough name to pronounce, though. I'll give you credit for doing what you did there. This is tough for me. I think this could be a team that might surprise people and take a quarterback. Derek Carr has had his highs. He's had his lows. Not sure how much he has left. He's not necessarily an old quarterback, but I just don't see him progressing much. So I went back and forth between going defense here and going with Trey Lance from North Dakota State. And I ended up landing on Trey Lance. I think there's going to be one team that kind of like people don't really expect them to take a quarterback necessarily, but because this is such a quarterback-heavy draft, they don't pass up on it. And I think, Mariota's the backup right now in Oakland, great backup. But I think Trey Lance is going to be just a better fit, better quarterback. He's got one of the best arms in the draft, I'd say. He's still really young, so he can develop, and we don't really know what his ceiling is yet, especially since we didn't really see him. Nobody really saw him play this year because the FCS season was in the spring. But I go Trey Lance here at the Raiders.
I like that. That's one I didn't really think about. I'm curious how he does. I'll go later in the draft. I'll tell you who picks Trey Lance. But let's get to the 18th pick. So go ahead. Miami Dolphins are on the clock.
All right. With the 18th pick of the 2021 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Jalen Phillips.
Me too. I selected him too.
Oh, really? Edge. He's an edge defender from Miami, Florida. 6'5", 266, has great size. I think he could probably go earlier in the draft. I think he's got really strong upside. He had a great 2020 season. He's definitely a lock for first round talent, I believe. And I think Miami would get a steal if they get him this late in the draft. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. You hit the nail. Jalen Phillips was my pick. He could be one of the best edge rushers. He's super explosive, and Miami just produces great defensive talent. They already got the offensive struggles kind of figured out in the first pick. I think an edge rusher is something that they're lacking in. So moving forward with the 19th pick, I got the Washington football team selecting tackle from Oklahoma State, Tevin Jenkins. I watched some highlights and an analysis video on him, and this man is a beast. He's just like very aggressive, and he will just like demoralize you after the play. He's just super big, and Oklahoma State did pretty well that year too. But the Washington football team, they're second. They're tied for second for worst in sacks allowed.
Wow.
And now that Alex Smith's retired, they need to make sure that they protect. I believe their quarterback is, don't tell me, Fitzmagic.
Is it?
I think so.
I couldn't tell you either. I'm honestly.
I want to say I'll correct myself if I know.
I'll check it real quick.
Okay. While you do that, I'll kind of go over more about the pick. But yeah, they need to protect their quarterback, and they have a quarterback figure out now. But I think next year we can definitely see the football team selecting a new quarterback into the draft of 2022.
It is Ryan Fitzpatrick.
It is Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's a great quarterback too, and you got to protect him. He's old. He's an older quarterback who's very intelligent. He went to Harvard. You didn't know that.
Oh.
And I think Tevin Jenkins can be a great asset for this team.
Yeah, I agree. First off, shout out to Alex Smith. Just retired this past week. What a great story, comeback story. I'm gonna stay on the defensive side of the ball with this pick, and I'm gonna take an edge rusher from Tulsa. Tulsa getting in the first round. Zaven Collins. They don't have. I think this is probably the safest pick for them. I think he'll really help the defense with Chase Young. I think that defense is just. I think Washington started to show a lot of life towards the end of last year, just like the Giants did. I think they're trending in a good direction. So I think they go and they improve their defense.
I like that pick because I know Ron Rivera is a defensive-minded coach. So that's a great pick. Go ahead and the 20th pick. Who did the Chicago Bears take?
The Bears. The Bears will take. Not the most exciting pick. I know Bears fans. They need something to be excited about. But I'm going to go with Greg Newsome, the second cornerback from Northwestern, second Northwestern player to go in the first round. That's
they were good this year.
Yeah,
too.
Shout out to Pat Fitzgerald, developing a great program there. And Newsome definitely had a really great year, and he could provide some depth to the secondary. the Bears, they brought in Dalton. Will they trade up to go get another quarterback? I feel like they probably won't with Foles and Dalton on the roster. But I don't know. I almost wonder if they might try to sneak in and get a quarterback somewhere. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I do like that pick. I want to give Bears some hope. I think the draft will be a shocker, and like the Falcons and the Broncos won't select a quarterback of the future, which will leave Trey Lance available for the taking.
Ooh.
You mentioned the Raiders are going to take Trey Lance, but I'm going to predict that they won't, and the Bears will take him with the 20th pick. And it's a depressing franchise. We here at work, everyone's always sad about the Bears.
It is.
And this would be I believe the correct move would take an O-line piece, but I think Ryan Pace needs to make up to what he has done to Bears fans this offseason. Even though he knows it's not the smartest choice, it's going to make the fans the most happy.
Yeah.
They're most likely going to take Trey Lance in the first round, and their next pick will take an O-line piece. And the good news is this draft is also pretty heavy in the O-line, so there's plenty of options.
Yeah.
And like Actually, I'm not gonna say I like Trey Lance. I like what could be of Trey Lance.
His upside.
He's very mobile. He has a really good arm. I'm just not 100% sold on him because I've never seen him play against elite talent. Not to mention, and then on top of that, he didn't play this year because his team didn't play until the spring. Obviously, he opted out of that.
All right.
To get ready for the draft. But he has some really great potential. I just want to see what he does on the bigger spotlight.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's probably the quarterback I'm like the most interested to see how he develops because I think he just looks like a fun quarterback to watch.
But you have to remember, Carson Wentz came from the same school and he was the MVP.
That's true.
So anything can happen.
He was. And speaking of Carson Wentz, our next pick,
the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Is that me?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you have this one.
All right. Yeah, I'm for those of you who don't know, which is probably most people listening, I'm a huge Indianapolis Colts fan, originally from Indiana. I'm a big fan of the Carson Wentz move. I think him and Frank Reich, our coach, the stars aligned when they were both in Philly together, and I think they can align again once more. I don't think I'm ready to give up on Carson Wentz. That being said, we got to protect him. We've always had one of the best for the past probably 5 to 6 years. We've had one that's like the most solid offensive lines in the NFL, and that was big thanks to Anthony Costanzo. Is an absolute beast. However, this offseason he retired. So I think that we will replace him and we'll go offensive line. Colts don't always have the most exciting first-round picks in the draft if they have a first-round pick. So I'm going to go with Tevin Jenkins, who is out of Oklahoma State, 6'6", 320, just a solid player, solid prospect. I think he'll be a great left or right tackle for this team moving forward.
I mean, I didn't pick Jenkins, but I'm literally happy for any team that takes him, even if it's like the Chiefs or someone that doesn't actually not the Chiefs, they need a piece, but any powerhouse team that doesn't need him, I still be happy that he gets picked in the first round. But I'm going to go with Rondale Moore for the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are in an upward trend since the Carson Wentz acquisition, and he has some great help. He has some great help on his side, which includes Michael Pittman Jr., and then you got running back Jonathan Taylor, who I'm a big fan of because I'm a big Wisconsin fan. But I think he needs more. You mentioned the O-line piece. I did not know that one of them retired, which is why I didn't pick an O-line piece, considering the fact that they allowed one of the least amount of sacks in the league. So I'm curious if they go with your O-line pick or just the position, or they go in my direction with Rondale Moore for wide receiver. But either way, if it's your pick or my pick, I'd be happy with it.
I definitely agree with you. I think that the Colts have a Super Bowl caliber defense. I think their defense is a defense that can win a Super Bowl. They have people everywhere, playmakers everywhere. I think their offense is also very close. I'm very excited to see I think their offense really depends on Jonathan Taylor, how he develops this offseason from his first to second year, and how Carson Wentz does. I mean, Phillip Rivers had a pretty okay season, and we were right there. The Colts had a good record, great season. But I feel like we are one wide receiver away from our offense really peaking. We'll see what T.Y. Hilton does this year. I really do like that pick.
Cool. 1 second. I think it's. Yep, I'll lead this one. This one's a little tough for me. This is the 22nd pick for the Tennessee Titans. I didn't look too thoroughly into what they need, but I'm gonna just go on a limb and just say that they're gonna pick Christian Darrisaw as a tackle. End of the day, like I always go protect your quarterback first, and you can never have too many O-line pieces, and I think this could be something the Titans could take advantage of since this is a very deep lineman draft as well as a quarterback draft.
I feel like Tannehill, he's not leaving the pocket too often, so might as well make him comfortable while he's there,
Right.
This pick, I went defense. I went Carlos Basham Jr., who's another edge rusher. He's from Wake Forest, 6'5", 285. He immediately makes that defense better. I think he's first round talent. Somebody will take him if he isn't off the board at this point. And I mean, think about the AFC South quarterbacks they have now. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, Carson Wentz, Deshaun Watson. So somebody's got to.
If he has a job still.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. That's a little bit of a mess right now. But somebody's got to get after those quarterbacks. So I think the Titans make their defensive line better.
That's a good point. I like that. Go ahead and lead off for the 23rd pick, which belongs to the New York Jets.
Yeah, Jets have 2 first-round picks. This one came from, I think this was a trade with the Seahawks. I'm not sure where it came from exactly. Yeah, I went back and forth between a couple players here, but I think they can get better at their running back right now. I couldn't tell you who it is. I think since they got Le'Veon Bell project didn't really pay off. I think they will take a running back. I think
it's not Frank Gore, is it?
He was on the roster last year. I don't think he was a starter. I think they have a young running back.
Okay.
But I think they can immediately upgrade their running game if they pick Travis Etienne from Clemson.
Ooh.
He stayed in school an extra year to develop. He stayed all 4 years. He was really underappreciated and kind of flew under the radar on that team with Trevor Lawrence. But he was an incredible running back. I believe he broke a couple of school records. I think he'd be a great pick to pair with Zach Wilson for BYU. I think Jets fans would be really, really excited if they had that big of an offensive upgrade.
Oh, yeah. I like Travis. He's definitely one of the top running backs in this draft. But I'm going to go with an edge rusher. What's his name? Kwity Paye. How'd you pronounce it right? Kwity Paye?
I think so, yeah. He's the one from Michigan, I believe.
Okay, because I think I misspelled it in one of my notes. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Paye because Robert Saleh, the new head coach, he's from the 49ers. He's a defensive-minded coach, hence his position with San Francisco. They already addressed an offensive piece in the first pick that they have, and I think addressing the defensive side is what he's going to intuitively go for first. And I don't really know any big edge rushers on the Jets, and I think this could be a position they could fill.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Travis Etienne, and which is why I'm going to go for the 24th pick. The Pittsburgh Steelers take Najee Harris.
Ooh.
Steelers had a very pedestrian run game, and it doesn't help that James Conner just left the Steelers. So why not find someone else to take his role?
Yeah.
Najee Harris is just so fun to watch. He has an NFL size, uses great vision when he makes his runs. He's not the best receiver running back, which is pretty popular amongst running backs now, but that can be worked on. I like it. I like to watch him, and I think the Steelers won't regret this pick.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. I think he would fit in really well there. Let's see, what do I have for Pittsburgh? I went with a wide receiver for Pittsburgh, actually.
Okay.
I went with Kadarius Toney from Florida. I think he's kind of a underappreciated wide receiver in this draft. I think he had a great career at Florida. Was he the one that threw the shoe? Do you remember that?
Oh
I can't remember for sure if he was the one or not.
It might have been.
Man, I that'll probably overshadow a bit of his college career. But he doesn't have a lot of great size. He's only 6 feet, but he's got speed, and I feel like the Steelers already have a great young wide receiving core, and I feel like he could be a really great addition to that.
Yeah, I do like that pick very much. And okay, I'm losing track of my notes. Okay. Oh, now we're into the 25th pick.
25th?
You can go ahead and lead this one off. This
Is
one
this
belongs to the Jaguars.
The Jaguars. All right, so after selecting an offensive piece in Trevor Lawrence, they go to the defensive side of the ball, and they get a cornerback from Virginia Tech named Caleb Farley. He's coming off some injuries, back injuries, which I think might be why he slips this far in the draft. But I think before he was injured, he was a top 15 talent. Had a great career at Virginia Tech for the Hokies. He's coming out after his junior year. But I think he's one of the best cornerbacks in the draft. And I think he'll be. If you leave the first round of Trevor Lawrence and Caleb Farley, there's not much to be upset about.
That's a good matchup with 2 picks in the first round.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the route I'll always go with, and I'd say they're going to get some protection for him. I think if they're smart, which I believe Urban Meyer is a smart coach, he will find some protection for Trevor since he's got so many great pieces in the offseason because everyone wants to go to Florida now all of a sudden, and they're going to get Dylan Redunce for a tackle. But, yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, there's plenty of tackles, and they're all great, and why not just get one if it's available? So moving forward to the 26th pick, the Cleveland Browns will get Jason Owe, edge rusher. Myles Garrett needs a Robin to his Batman. I think this guy will be the perfect fit to complement his playmaking. Not playmaking, just his play style, just beating up quarterbacks. And if these guys can both pair up, it'll be real hard to stop them.
Yeah. I think we're doing Cleveland, right? Yeah, the Browns.
Yeah, Cleveland 26.
Yeah, I think their offense is pretty. They have good weapons. I think they have their quarterback now. I think they will go to the defensive side of the ball, which is why. And then they just got Jadeveon Clowney this past week, or very recently as well. Or they signed him. So I think they make that defensive line even better, and they get Christian Barmore, a defensive lineman from Alabama. He's 6'5", 310. He'll be a great fit there. Not a whole lot to say about this. I just think he had a great season last year at Alabama, and he's not the most exciting pick, obviously, for Cleveland because they already have so many weapons. Browns fans will probably just want another one. But, yeah, that's my pick for the Browns.
I like that one. Next is the Baltimore Ravens, the 27th pick. Who do you have?
I have them going defense. I have them going with Azeez Ojulari, who's an edge rusher from Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Arguably one of the better defenders, if not the best defender on that Georgia defense last year. I think a lot of Georgia players will get drafted in this draft. I think he's the first one to go off the board, though, right?
Yep.
So I think he's the first one I've got through so far. So yeah, not a ton to go into about this one. I just think it's a great pick for them. Azeez Ojulari.
Cool. I like that one. I'm going to go offense on this one, and the Ravens will take Elijah Moore, the wide receiver. Lamar Jackson, they're pretty invested in him. He has a great relationship with his head coach, and people complain, especially fans, saying that he needs some wide receiver help. I don't really know too many star wide receivers that he has available to him, and yeah, I think Elijah Moore would be a good fit for him.
Sweet, yeah, I think that's a good pick as well. I think we're on to the New Orleans Saints, aren't we?
Yeah, 28th.
28th.
Mm-hmm.
Saints have had an interesting offseason. Their hero, Drew Brees, has retired. He's done. And their starting quarterback is, are they going to go with Hill? Taysom Hill?
Well, they got Hill, and they also have Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have a battle.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I still think they have a lot of great weapons on the offensive side of the ball with, obviously, Alvin Kamara, the fantasy beast. I'll probably go – I've not really looked at fantasy football projections yet, but I think he'd probably go 1 or 2 after last season. So I'm going to go on the defense, just a safe pick with a linebacker out of Notre Dame, Jeremiah Owusu Koramoah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough one. I think he's very athletic, has speed. The come off the edge, and he'll be a big upgrade to their defense.
I like that pick. As much as Alvin Kamara is a Swiss Army knife, he can do it all. Missing Michael Thomas for a few games definitely hurt their pass game, and they realize that.
Yeah.
And they don't want a situation where they don't have a pass game. So I think they're going to take Kadarius Toney from Florida as their wide receiver pick.
Ooh.
He's very fast, very fluid, and I think he can complement the offense pretty well.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, I think, I get to do the Green Bay Packers, right?
All right. Yeah.
All right, with the 29th overall pick, the Green Bay Packers select A.J. Ortega from Iowa State University as quarterback for Aaron Rodgers' replacement starting this season. Just kidding. The Green Bay Packers are probably going to select J.C. Horn, cornerback. They just signed Kevin King one more year, and I don't think he's going to be there very much longer, especially after what he did in the NFC Championship game against the Bucs, where he allowed that halftime touchdown, which was very hard to watch. And the Packers have proved people like to complain that the Packers don't give Aaron Rodgers help. I agree, but here's the thing: Aaron Rodgers has proved time and time that he can turn non-first round talent into star receivers, or at least receivers good enough to kind of make some shit happen. And J.C. Horn is a versatile cornerback who can not only cover the outside. He cannot cover from inside, but he cannot cover from outside, but he can also cover the slot positions as well. So he's very dynamic and can cover a lot of ground, which I think would be very helpful to kind of help with Kevin King or anybody out there that needs help on the secondary. I mean, he's faced some very talented receivers while he was at South Carolina, receivers from Alabama, LSU.
That's true.
And he's been playing for them for 3 years. So he has what it takes to cover these top receivers, and I think that would be beneficial for the Packers.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they do go defense here, and I think I have J.C. Horn going off the board earlier, so I don't have him available. But I think what you were saying about their wide receivers is also correct. I think they if they don't go with the cornerback or a defender here, they might go wide receiver just because they feel bad. Aaron Rodgers kind of got mad after last year's draft that they didn't draft him any help. But I have them going with Asante Samuel, who's a cornerback out of Florida State. Just a really solid player. I think he's worth the first-round pick. Had a great career at Florida State. One of the best cornerback prospects in the draft. So Asante Samuel. Green Bay Packers.
Great. I like the position choice. Since we went through our teams now, we can kind of skim through these last three. So the 30th pick, the Buffalo Bills, I have them getting Azeez Ojulari as an edge rusher. Buffalo Bills don't really have much of a star edge rusher, and I think he could fill that spot.
Yeah, I think, let's see, Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills, one of the most exciting teams in football last year, in my opinion. They were so fun to watch.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. Wow, what a combo. I went with Jason Owa. He's an edge rusher from Penn State. I think he'll be a good fit there for their defense. I think their offense, they might go get some help for their offense in the later rounds, but I think they have a very electric and dangerous offense right now. So I think they go on the defensive side of the ball.
Cool. And then the 31st pick goes to the Chiefs.
Chiefs, yeah. I don't think they're going to go offense. I think they're pretty settled on the offense. They won't take an offensive player this early in the draft. I believe I have them taking Levi Onwuzurike, defensive lineman from Washington. I think he'll help make their defensive line a lot better. And I think the Chiefs are probably going. I see them getting back to the Super Bowl again this year. So
cool. Yeah. So I'm going offense. I'm going offensive line with Samuel Cosmi. He's a tackle from Texas, I believe. Patrick Mahomes, as we saw in the Super Bowl, was kind of running for his life against the Bucs. But here's the thing, though. Patrick Mahomes, he's very, he gets a little anxious.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't like to stand still.
He likes to get out of the pocket.
Exactly. He has this thing where he backpedals way too much, kind of how Josh Allen does. It's not that his pocket or his linemen aren't very good. It's just they're not perfect for him to kind of stay within. And I think getting a little extra protection will kind of keep him at ease in terms of throwing within the pocket. So that's who I'm going to go with for the Chiefs.
Yeah, good pick. I think that tackle would be a great pick for them as well. So I guess the last pick we have the Buccaneers.
I think I will lead this one.
All right.
There's not much really. The Bucs have 22 returners.
Yeah.
They don't really need
They should
anyone.
just trade their first round pick.
That's not a bad idea. Who knows? Maybe they might trade their first round pick to get a quarterback for the future.
Maybe they.
That'd be
will.
some nice juice for ESPN.
Who would they pick though?
I don't know.
If they trade, you're saying if they traded up, to try to get one.
I don't know.
Because the only one left, I think, is Kyle Trask, right?
You got Kellen Mond.
Kellen Mond, yeah, he's one of my dark horse picks for this draft.
Yeah, I would watch out for him. But yeah, I think the Bucs are going to pick Caleb Farley, cornerback. Rush defense was exceptional. Pass game could use some help. They allowed a lot of yards in a couple games, especially the first match against the Chiefs, where they allowed 450 yards.
Yeah.
And then against the Rams, they allowed 376. These are all passing yards, I must note. So any help in the secondary would be beneficial. I mean, he's great. He's strong, 6'2", and he'd be good. I think he'd be a good asset.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat here. I think they go after the secondary, making their secondary better. I think that's the area. I don't think other areas really need that much improvement. So I'm gonna go with Trevon Mooring. He's a safety from TCU. I think they go and they make that secondary better. I think I don't know if they'll make it back to the Super Bowl this year or not, but I think they'll make it pretty far in the playoffs.
Hi, thanks for watching the clip. If you're interested for the full episode, go to the description for the full episode link. Or if you're interested in more content clips, feel free to check out my channel for all the clips available. Thank you again for watching, and make sure to like, subscribe, and share.